Good afternoon and welcome back. It's good to see you again. I thought we'd take this opportunity to do a more formal introduction to me, so you can kind of meet me, learn a little bit more about me, and then I'll answer some of your questions, and I'll kind of update, before that I'll kind of update some changes I'm going to make to our visits. I think will be helpful and more interesting. So to begin, I'm of course David Barr. I'm a accountant professionally. I work at a local financial institution on their accounting staff. I'm currently studying to get my CPA certification, so working on that. And then personally, my own hobbies, I'm a father and a husband, and so that takes up a great deal of my free time. But in the free time that's left to me, I read a great deal, as you could probably guess. And then another thing that I frequently am involved with is I'm a founding member of a small, exclusive, local wine and book club that I started with two of my other brothers, and we meet once a month. I'm actually just getting ready to go to that after this. So first, the current state of kind of our meetings, they're very much modeled on, of course, Malcolm Guide and his format. I love very much that it's less of a performer audience format. It's less formal, more intimate, and so I've tried to model that with our visits. I think one of the big changes I'll make is kind of formalizing some of what our meetings are about, what we talk about when we meet, and then also meeting on a more scheduled basis. I think more like every 2 weeks on a given day and time will be more interesting. And I think having a conversation about a specific topic over several meetings will be more interesting too. I think it'll be more interesting to come back. So anyway, I think one of the first things that we'll talk about is really my impetus for having read over about a year and a half, having read about 10 plus books on medieval literature. And the question that kind of sparked all of that reading was, why in Lewis and Tolkien's mythology are there creation events tied to music? So, Aslan sings Narnia into existence, Eru sings Middle Earth and the rest of the cosmos into existence. Why music specifically? Where are they getting that? Are they getting that from the medievals? Are they getting that from the Romans or Greeks or before? And so that sparked me on having read about 10 books on the topic, really trying to understand why is cosmic creation tied to music for both of those individuals. Where do they get that, and why did someone make that connection first? So I think that will be interesting. It was certainly interesting for me. I spent a year and a half answering the question. And I think it'll be more interesting for our meetings. So I look forward to that. Some of our current meetings, I'll just archive those if they're not pertinent to kind of the new format, if they're not pertinent to some of that topic, just so, again, just kind of clean slate some of our past meetings, and we'll just go forward and I think enjoy those conversations a lot more. So that's where I plan on going. And that will just allow, I think, more of one really great critique and comment that I've gotten is, having a format that is more original to me. I'm not married to the idea that everything I do must be completely original, but I do think that will kind of let some of my personality come through a little bit more in our meetings, rather than it feeling like, I've kind of seen this before. So anyway, that's where I'll be going, and I invite you to come back here in a couple weeks for kind of that first new format. But I do want to try and keep our conversations more informal, more personal and intimate, and so we'll do that too. So bring tea, bring a pipe or a pint or something like that, glass of wine. So we'll enjoy that, I think. To get to some of the questions I asked in comments, or I got a couple through email, the first one was how I was introduced to Tolkien, and that was really from my mother. she always had a copy of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and she actually read The Hobbit to me and my brothers and sisters first before I ever read it myself. And then Lord of the Rings, my impetus for having read that the first time was I really wanted to watch the movies, when I was 10 or 11. And my mom said, you have to read the books first. And so that was my impetus for having read the books for the first time. And then the last 2 or 3 years, it's become kind of a habit where I read certain things throughout the year. Every year, Dante's Divine Comedy, a couple other smaller poetic works, and Lord of the Rings. I'll start on September 22nd, as you know, and read through Lord of the Rings generally through the end of the year. And so that's kind of my introduction to Tolkien, just his work, and then of course other things from there over the years. Another question was how I got into pipe smoking, and it was really from a conversation I had with an older brother. He said that he made an interesting observation, and it was that women tend to connect person to person really well, but men generally connect through a third thing. So, men will go hunting or fishing, or they'll, watch sports, football, baseball, something like that together. And men connect better through those third things. And, enjoying, scotch or beer or even wine. And of course, cigar and pipe smoking falls kind of under those categories. And it's something that me and a couple of my other brothers do together somewhat regularly, not very often, probably a handful of times a year. But I think that's really been one thing. It forces you to kind of sit still, devote so much time to an activity, to sit still and just be still, be silent, or have a conversation. And that's been a big joy. Another question someone asked was, what's my favorite book? And it definitely has to be Dante's Divine Comedy. Certainly as an epic poem. If we got into other categories of literary works, like a novel, Lord of the Rings is probably up there. Kristen Lavren's Daughter, I read for the first time this year, and that's an incredible novel. There are certainly others, but Dante's Divine Comedy has to be at the top, I think, for me. And then the last question I got asked was, what's my favorite music? And what I typically listen to most often is either sacred music or classical music. Sacred music being, Gregorian chant. I think it's St. John's College. They have several albums where they have chanted psalms, and so I really enjoy that. And then classical music, the Baroque authors particularly. Particular work, Handel's Messiah, has to be probably my favorite if I had to nail one down. But operas too are a big favorite. I really enjoy The Marriage of Figaro. I enjoy the beautiful music, but then also set to a story. So I really enjoy that. But I think Handel's Messiah probably has to be kind of the top work. I do listen to other genres of music, like contemporary Christian worship music sometimes. Sometimes folk music. My wife listens to a lot of country music, which means I listen to a lot more country music than I would otherwise. But I think classical music probably has to be on the top of the pile. So anyway, I hope you kind of enjoyed just hearing my answers to some of those. I look forward to kind of that new format for when you have a chance to come and visit me. And I think it'll be an interesting conversation. Again, it kept me interested for 1.5 years and still does. The medieval style poem I'm writing was a result of all of that information that I read about. And so I think it'll be interesting to you, and I look forward. So, next time bring your pipe, bring, a pint of beer, some tea, even some wine. And I think we'll enjoy these future meetings with new format. So thanks for stopping by, and I look forward to seeing you next time.